Starting Magic, according to Giuliano Kremmerz. It will be helpful for our readers to revisit some of the matters already treated, by way of the form they take in the Kremmerzian teaching. This is, moreover, the same system as has figured in some writings by our collaborators, notably Abraxa. The object is to indicate their convergences and also to shed light on some particular aspects. What follows is compiled from passages taken from Kremmerzian works that are not easily found. Commentarium, La Porta Hermetica, Avviamento alla Scienza dei Magi, the four fascicoli, I dialoghi sull'ermetismo, and then reassembled with some modifications of form necessitated by this compilation. Our purity, understood integrally, is the conscious and unalterable neutrality of consciousness. Any hatred and any love, indeed any self-interest of the hermetic operator renders success in vain, cancelling and destroying the hoped-for result. The development of the hermetic intelligence is facilitated through complete equilibrium, both physical and mental, in a regime of life that is sober, unforced, and observed in silence, realizing the vanity of words. Detach yourself mentally from the environment as from something that must not and cannot offend you. Say, the unjust cannot succeed in upsetting my equilibrium. The image of the completely integrated man gives the impression of the most perfect neutrality, like a just Lord, the spectre of God as imagined by believers, a judge, generous and magnificent bestower of gifts, with the lofty sense of the giant who would not smite the feeble man. The perfect man is not altogether body, nor altogether spirit, but the integration of the powers of the spirit in the body that feeds it and serves for its manifestations in a constant equilibrium that prevents the excess of either factor. In physical life, use everything and abstain from everything at will. With a sober way of life, the body is strengthened. If you are sick, then fast. Apply this regime to passions and desires. The passions are sufferings for desires unobtained or insufficiently satisfied. Desire soberly, and when desire becomes excessive, abstain from it. What most distances you from power is the desire for pleasure. A master must be superior to good and to evil, because his state of continuous equilibrium depends on his neutrality to both, so as to develop the inner powers and make use of them in all ways. Every operation carries the impress of the operator's state of balance or imbalance. You yourself are the laboratory, and you must see it as clearly as in the light of day. Reflect on your actions and meditate on them. The characteristics, the impulses, and the constant style that they maintain reveal to you your ancient being, your forgotten history, and what you have been. Form the habit of frequently examining your conscience. One's own body, like one's soul, can be accustomed to cold and to heat. Thus, you should dominate it, prohibit and command it, give and take away from it. Your physical body and soul should obey and be constantly under the orders of your intelligence, which has the right to blow hot or cold on them. Thus, eat and fast, wake and sleep. Your thought acts with such certainty on the body that with sufficient training you have the latter entirely under your command. Have no fear of contagions, infirmities, disturbances of any kind. It is enough to think that such things will not happen in your organism. Educate yourself step by step with the sensations of heat and cold. On a cold day, for example, think that you can do without an overcoat, because the cold does not hurt you, but energizes you. In the heat, start willing your skin to not perspire. Then the external heat will not bother you. Attend to the various needs. To habitual ones, do not abstain from alcohol, if that is your habit, but will that the need for it shall cease. To physiological ones, will that sleep should come at a certain hour of the evening, or on the contrary, will that it should not come until a certain hour. Fast, not for penitence, but to inhibit the stimulus of hunger from arising before a certain moment. In this way, you can work directly on the organism through little disturbances that can affect it. In weaker persons, the will is imaginative, in stronger ones, it is simply enunciative. Then you will have no need for suggestion. It will suffice to will with conviction, as the musician uses his instrument. Hermetic education thus tends to render the integrating faculty of the human intellect the absolute master of its animal vesture, so as to make the latter an obedient and ready servant of the psychodynamic authority that is in us. Purify yourself of every obstacle to the free exercise of the intelligent will. Free yourself from every necessity. Since man is conceived of as analogous to the cosmos, magic has as the basis of its percepts the analogous law of the things and acts that compose him. For example, washing oneself is the analogical symbol of the evident virtue of water that cleanses the stones that it washes over. Fasting is analogous to the liberation from obstructions, chastity to the state of freedom, rather than that of sexual passion, which is suffering. Wash yourself so that the acts of your hands do not only clean your body and outer senses, but above all, the hidden being that has received dirty impressions in the course of the day. Be temperate by habit and fast at the new moon by eating only once, because you know that at the first day of appearance the moon is virginal, innocent and pure, analogous the lunar or astral body of man, which at birth lacks the stigmata of the new human life. Be chaste by not entertaining the state of passionate disturbance, neither obey, nor provoke, nor satiate yourself with it. To accomplish a ritual needs no faith. All that is needed is that it be performed without any alteration of the form, with all due precision, like the countryman who goes to his garden, hides the seed in the earth, and waits till it becomes a sprout, then a tree. Realization, both high and low, is an act of love, whether for good or ill, for that which brings help and that which causes harm. Any idea of personal advantage muddies and halts it, whether the reward is moral or material. It is the same. If a lover prays for his lady, he obtains nothing unless he converts his love of her to the love of a mother who sacrifices herself for her child. Ask yourself, if someone else's infirmity were to pass into your body, whether you have the strength to soften their place without complaint or regret. If you can say yes to that, you are ready to obtain the thaumaturgic virtue. State of love. Subtly, kindly, you must feel all the expanse of a state of tender responsibility, as you would feel spontaneously for a child who was speechlessly begging for help, like the host who opens his door to a friend and envelops him with his hospitality, a sentiment that is kindness, compassion, charity, being like the protector who lets the others rest in him and will see to everything. He wraps the other in a wave of goodness, thinks of him and gives him. There is no other word. Calm, insensitivity to pain, life. Footnote. All things being equal, it is only necessary to change the quality of that which is given, and which as a state or fluidified image is first aroused in you, when one wishes to direct the operation to a contrary or simply a different result. See the magic of effigies. Know only the love that unites two souls without desires, without exceptions, without partialities, without advantage, and who at the same time live by the same desire, the same partiality, the same advantage, in a communion of profound goodness where no shadow is possible. This love is called beatrice, because it is light, purification, beatitude. It is neither an art nor a science. It is spirit that the Hermes heralds, as the dawn, the sun. It must be invoked. If it arrives, do not reject it, for it will not return. If it arrives, receive it. That which you love will taken by the same love, and if it's more perfect, it will give you all you ask of its spirit. This is the first little key. Hermetically speaking, prayer is an act of the concrete fluidification of the will. To formulate the idea and desire its realization is prayer. The imagination of things that is well defined, pictorial, minute, chiseled in its finest and clearest details, is will in action, is creation. To conceive, imagine, depict the idea, then to feel oneself in the state of truth, accord and consciousness with the thing thought of, is an act of will, whether or not the word expresses the volitive thought. The will is perfect when the idea formed in consciousness is the idea as seen. Peace between the imagined idea and consciousness. Will in action. Love that intervenes and makes it fruitful. In the consciousness thus integrated with the profound will beyond any environmental influence, belief or passion, the hermetic power manifests spontaneously, without effort, through the imaginative act alone. The imagination is the instrument of creation of the integrated consciousness. It is enough to create a thought form in such an inner condition for the form to be realized, not as the result of an effort, but as that of a state of being that is independent and intimate, knowing no obstacles. The conception in magic is a flash, a lightning operation that implies the most perfect education of both of the physical and the mental body. Thus, close your eyes, create an image and look at it. In the dark, you will see with a sight that is not of the senses. If several persons close their eyes in the same way and open their intellectual sight, then communion with the light is established through rapport. The rapport between the astral vibrations perceived by the individuals forms the astral current, which in turn you need to learn to control. Hermes should make you understand the mental motion outside any body, surface or space. A free motion in a non-dimensional intellectual environment, or one that contains all dimensions. The human mind, hermetically penetrated in this function, gains from it a divine virtue that changes into miraculous powers. Magic is the state of mark, which is an intensive state of trance that puts our fluidic body in direct communication with the cosmic astral current, projecting it out of the body like a shadow without light, since the astral light is black light. Footnote: in the dialogues, Kremmerz further explains the doctrine that the spirit is breath, and as breath it goes, after death, to be blended and dissolved in the mass of cosmic ether. Only the magus, when performing their projection, does not emit his spirit, air, wind, breath, but a second self that contains the spirit and supplies it with a human-like body, invisible to the physical eye, indestructible, capable of doing with mental power what ordinary man does with his limbs, and no longer needing a physical body to transport itself, e.g. astral projection, remote viewing, and similar. When the intellectual center predominates over the peripheral extremes in contact with the external world, it is possible to detach and isolate their fluidic body from the outside, liberating the mental power which then sees. It renders the animal senses inert to give complete freedom to the other, to the Hermes, which is the communicating sense between the ultra-human and the human. It is not passive ecstasy that views the manifestations, but power to direct them, giving them energy. All that is thought of in the astral is realized in action. Things hermetically thought are true facts, because they become real. To enter in every mode into contact with the world beyond, and to work actively in it in order to have the reactions or effects in real life, common life. The spirits of the elements, or elementals, are condensations of etheric matter, with the lives and finality determined. Note: if you regularly watch my videos, surely you know how to decipher such statements. According to the element that predominates in its specific function over the others that are still present, they belong to one of the four classes of elementals, those of fire, air, water, and earth. All these families are innumerable, constantly being reproduced, reconstituted, enlivened, and renewed. Every spirit of limited life, every life of intelligence relative to its function, every elemental inexorably striving for its end. Immobilized by that end, they can become immortal when through human agency they acquire the hermetic property of the human mind, with the volitive and negative liberty that becomes more precise and free in them than in incarnation. These entities therefore preserve the inexorability of their original character when they are attracted into the orbit of ends that sympathize with their temperament. The mental hermetic force, when at its most active, has powers that dominate the elemental spirits, to the point of being able to dissolve them and, in the ultimate degrees of magic, to make them immortal. There is a vast legion of elemental spirits desiring immortality, say the sacred books, and as a fatal condition of the path, you're for the most part in contact with them, because they are all elementals of fire. They thirst, and you have the water to quench the thirst. The ether is made from fire, of fire that is inconceivable until your spirit has attained a special state. The object, to be precise, is first, reduce to the etheric state. Second, reduce the etheric to the state of fire. And third, reduce the evil that comes into contact with us by means of the integrated, purifying movement. The symbol, Hermes who loves Venus. The name, Pyromagia, or Ionic Magic. The form, the red robe with a triple knot on the silken cord. The mystery, the initiate closed in the deep darkness of his cowl. The end, the hermaphrodite, indissoluble unity of complementaries. The sign, the raised palm. The flame, the means, silence.